To order. Roll call, Nan.
Ms. Capola?
Present.
Ms. Gately?
Present.
Mr. Satterwhite?
Present.
Perfect attendance. Observing, Mr. Castellanos, Mr. Ford, and Mr. Nicholson, and Mayor McGee.
Okay. On there is a long overdue job we've been waiting for. Director of Lynn Public Schools Welcoming Center.
Yep.
And I don't know if everybody has the posting in front of them, a job posting in front of them. And the title has changed from another job, but maybe Dr. Tuckwell, would you like to explain?
Certainly.
Yeah.
So just to set the table, in the successor agreement with the Lynn School Administrators Association, we dissolved an existing agreement that allowed for the transportation director and the currently named Parent Information Center director to essentially be led by, both of those operations led by one person. That's been dissolved, so it will now be a two-person endeavor, one for transportation and one for the Parent Information Center. We did this in large part because of the ever-increasing scope and breadth of the Parent Information Center work. It has evolved and grown over the years. And then also, just sort of echoing what I believe Mrs. Capolo was alluding to relative to a direction, leading that facet of our organization in a direction that provides more services for families, that is more meaningfully connected with partner agencies. And you'll notice at the very end of the posting, moving it from an operations perspective to more one that sits under social emotional learning. So we believe pretty deeply that many supports can be established for families or identified, needs identified right at the point of registration. And so we've developed a draft a posting in partnership with the current Parent Information Center director, who's also the president of the union, and everything that's in there now has the union's blessing.
Okay. Anybody have anything to offer? Lorraine?
Sure. You're on mute, Lorraine.
Thank you. I'm unmuted now.
Okay.
Well, when I saw this posting, I automatically thought of this, that this is going to be the face of the Welcome Center for Lynn Public Schools. Like, when people come into our buildings or come into our system, they're going to see this person and they're going to run the office so that everyone will feel welcomed coming into Lynn Public Schools. So I changed a few things under the qualifications, or I'm asking to change some things, like bachelor's degree required from an accredited college or university. Number one, I think that it should be that, because I want it to be a master's degree. Like we could omit bachelor's and just leave master's degree. I'm sorry, my dog is barking. Somebody's walking by. I can't stop them. So anyways, the first thing I would like to ask is, and ask John, my host, would it be possible under qualifications to make it bilingual preferred Spanish speaker?
I would think that'd be problematic, because you're, in a sense, discriminating as far as what language is going to be the demanded of the individual. I mean, by making it Spanish only, qualifying, I think is problematic.
Okay. All right. could we just do bilingual preferred?
Correct.
Okay, so I would like to add that it will be a bilingual, that would be the first bullet, bilingual preferred. I'd also like to change the bachelor's and master's degree to read master's degree from an accredited college or university in child development education or master's in counseling. Because when people are coming in, the person that's the face of Lynn Public Schools should understand child development and have some kind of understanding with the people coming into our school system. So counseling, I thought, would be, either one of those could be acceptable. I don't know how you feel about this, so I'm just putting it out there. I'd also like to say, where it says demonstrated ability to implement programs directly, I would also like to add in that sentence that it says demonstrate ability to implement programs and online programs that are directly related to the priority goals of the school system. We're all going online, so we should have some kind of online program here, maybe to allow people that are coming into our district to go onto our website that can then take the paperwork necessary and understand what the enrollment, what are the steps they need. Instead of going down to the PIC center or the welcoming center and being told, oh, you need this, this, and this, they would have it already on there. Is it already there, Dr. Tutwiler?
The online piece? No.
Well, I would like to see that, and that person to be able to have that capacity. And then proven ability, the next bullet, I would like to change proven ability and experience in successfully working in a high charge team driven work environment. It says proven ability to work high charge, but I want them to be successful, to prove that they've already done something similar. They're successful at it. Or am I being too nitpicky? Well, that's my game. That's what I'm thinking. So we can discuss this now. Anybody have anything else?
I just wanted to chime in.
Yes, Michael.
Thank you. Patrick, did you have a response to Lorraine before I?
Quickly, yeah. So there's an updated, yesterday, an updated posting went out that has that language around ability to speak, read, and write Spanish or other languages strongly preferred. I think that would actually be okay, given what Mr. Attorney Myhos has alluded to. And then just quickly, as it relates to the master's degree, I'm always okay putting a preference, but I wouldn't want to limit it just to that, because there might be people with other, who've engaged in other courses of study who, may have lots of experience and, could be a good fit. So I don't feel strongly, for or against the counseling piece, but I would just prefer that it would say preferred or welcome or something, but not limit it to just folks who've done that course of study.
Okay. All right.
And thank you. And just to start off, I think that at $108,000 a year, a master's degree makes more sense with a salary. If you put the figure with what we're expecting of them, it's $108,000. It's not a $50,000 a year job. I do want to say that, obviously working on the negotiation subcommittee with you, hand in hand on a lot of these things, I know that we've spoken at depth at the direction you wanted this to go in. So I'm happy that we're talking about it. But, I sit back and I think, well, are we doing it the right way? Should we pick a director first, or should we reorganize the area first to see exactly what the needs are? Do you know what I mean? So the welcome center is not a welcome center yet. It's a parent information center. It's the pick. So do we have a draft of what we want it to look like? Do we have another district that's doing it right? I had Mary reach out to Taunton to see what they just recently did with their welcome center 3 years ago, and it's amazing. Just some of the things that did you get the letter that she wrote up for me?
Did I?
Well, Taunton? Yeah.
No, but I had a conversation with Mary about it.
Okay. They go much further into the welcomeness, and the more you spoke about what your plans were in the beginning of this, I felt like it more aligned with what Taunton was doing, which is great. So what you said brought music to my ears. But I love that it's the housing issues, the high school to college, the job placement for students, homelessness, foster care. I love that it also includes the SPED department as well as the social emotional department, because these are kids that are coming in and we're going to take them as they are. We can't turn away anybody. So a kid might have social emotional needs or might need to be in SPED or 504s, any of that stuff. And the Welcome Center is the first entity they speak to within the Lynn Public Schools. So having that knowledge, having that connection with the other departments is needed. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to know more what your vision is for this department and what it's going to look like. What other changes are we going to make? It's important. And one of the things that, obviously we're out there, we're at the supermarket, we're at the coffee shops in the city, people come up to us and talk to us. One of the things that I hear more so years ago than now is that employees feel as though when a job is placed, you already have someone in mind. So I feel as though that we're never going to know the full potential of our talent pool if this is how our employees think. That, I might have the credentials, but I believe that they already have X or Y in mind for this particular position. And we can't be like that. I think that human resources needs to do something different to reassure our talent pool, the thousands of people we currently employ, that when a position is put out there, it's put out there for anyone that has the qualifications. So, there are cultures that are hard to get rid of. There are cultures that are from the past that people, have a hard time, thinking anything else. And I've seen that over and over again, being on boards for different organizations where it just was always done this way. But I think this goes hand in hand with what we talked about a couple of weeks ago about having the interview committees, having other voices outside of the bubble involved with regards to the hiring process. And I loved how you even talked about Boston, what they do at high schools for teachers. So this mentality has to, I believe, be gone. And it could be silly things like what's in the job posting. Okay, so for $108,000 a year, all I need is a bachelor's degree. No one in their right mind would think that someone with a bachelor's degree can start off at $108,000. That's a lot. And in addition to that, this is a huge responsibility. This is again, like Lorraine said, the face of our schools. This is the first, real department that anyone speaks to. So I'd like to have it master's degree preferred. I'd like to have some sort of social worker background if possible. I love the fact that you added the language, the bilingual component to it. And I don't have issues with the things that Lorraine are talking about. Obviously, a proven ability to work in a highly charged team. A proven ability is success. Adding additional words might not change that. You know what I mean? Obviously, we want the person to be successful. And then when you say implement programs, I think that leaves it open where someone it doesn't hold us to just. When you say initiate programs, it can be online, it could be in person, it could be anywhere. It just says programs. So, having that, just say that it's broad enough, I think, that you guys have room to move around with. I'd like a more emphasis on, you have coordinate with the SPED director, you have coordinate with the EL director. But specifically, do you want to go beyond these things besides just registration and scheduling? Or is that all you really want with the person in this particular role?
Yeah. So just quickly, I think Kim, Deb, and Kevin would attest to the fact that no phrase irks me more than the "we've always done it this way" phrase. That is like nails on the chalkboard to me. And so we do things based on how we think we can achieve the best outcome for students, period. And if it's different than the way that it's always been done, then we're going to do it differently. I will say with respect to this position, I understand and respect completely what you're saying about, flushing out the vision more. And I really think that this is something in the memo that I wrote to the committee and discussing this posting. I talked about change being a process. We're looking for the right person with the right philosophy, the right ideas, the right experience. There are things that I might not even know would be appropriate or fitting for that space. The right person can help build that and incorporate that. I think our general vision is very close to what was shared with you about Taunton. It's very close to what exists currently in Lawrence, where they have caseworkers who invite each family in and do a really rigorous and in-depth, conversation and intake process and set families up for success from jump. And I'm not speaking ill of our team right now. We're just talking about going in a sort of new and evolved direction. And so I would much prefer to bring the right person on board and build it from there. We've got the foundation. We know philosophically what we want to get done there. We need the person to help us build it. And lastly, I would say, there are a lot of talented people with lots of experience that may only have a bachelor's degree and could well earn more than what the base of this position offers. I just don't want to sell ourselves short and narrow it too much, where we might have an awesome candidate who's got tons of experience in this realm, but only has a bachelor's degree. So if I'm not mistaken, you don't need a certification for this. And so, I would rather be able to cast the net broadly than to add so many qualifications that it becomes this really narrow,
You do it in a way where you say a master's degree preferred or experience in lieu of a degree. In the older one, you have that language. I don't mind that language.
Sure. Absolutely.
Dawn, I have my hand up. I don't know if you can see me.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I can now, Brian.
I saw that. I saw you, Brian.
Yeah, sorry. I try to raise it in the chat too, but let me.
I saw that too.
Sorry, guys. Yeah. So, in just terms of, I just want to add for qualifications. It's $108,000 position. I agree. A master's degree. Preferred. I like that language, but I also agree, Pat, when you brought that up, because I think about nonprofits, development officers. When I read the posting, I like to see in qualifications of nonprofit. Every executive director I've ever worked with, I deal with a lot of nonprofits. This screams executive director of a nonprofit, and a lot of those folks are underpaid, and they do great work. They have to be innovative, competitive. I think if we add some sort of welcome point about, okay, we're looking, if you got experience in the nonprofit, private sector, development area, I think that would be helpful to get a different kind of candidate. Because if I read it, like the way, when I look at all the performance responsibilities, I feel like certain folks in that industry have a lot of those qualifications, and they're actually, a lot of them are well educated, and you'd be surprised. They have social work backgrounds, MSW backgrounds. So I feel like those EDs usually find are pretty well stacked. And I also want to add, this position, would we be looking to add any clerical? I know we're looking to we're working on, I see a lot of administrative pieces to it, and it looks, I don't want to say if it's too heavy. Are we looking at down the line, are they going to be, okay, like 3 years down the line, where are we looking to have administrative roles assigned to them, or are we going to be looking to have them, I know they report to the executive director of social emotional learning, but are we going to be investing in administrative roles for this particular director position? Sorry, I was trying to get it out.
No, that's okay. Forgive me, I'm not sure that I follow. Are you saying that, or asking if we're going to be adding support roles?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So if we say we move forward with this position fully, would they need support? I just want to know, because if we're looking to some of these tasks, if you look at them, they might not be able to perform all of it. When we go through an evaluation process, they're going to find where the needs are, and if we're not effective, I feel like it's important to know what the full package is. Because when you look at the Welcome Center, the director's going to, like you said, they're going to say, you know what, Pat, I need to assemble a team. I might need to add some position. I need this. I need this. So if we're going to invest, we invest. And I feel like I think it's something to keep mindful when we put this position out there. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know is my honest answer to that. We're always having conversations about capacity, and at certain points of the year, that office is very, very busy. Now, thankfully, we were able to bring on an online registration component, which is just about set up, which would reduce at least the amount of time families have to spend in the office getting set up. That may eliminate the need for additional human resources, but I don't know. As the scope of the role grows, as things happen, maybe. But we don't have any plan for it. I think our interest is genuine and really exclusive to that office moving in the direction of the vision that I described a few minutes ago.
Thanks, Pat.
Is there anybody else out there that have any questions?
Yeah.
Yes, Jared. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Bullock. Just quickly, I just want to echo my colleagues in saying how excited I am for this role, how crucial I think it is, how well it aligns with our strategic plan, the core values, a lot of what we've been talking about over the last couple of years. And I think I really like that. I think that jumps out of the posting, the focus on welcoming families. And I just want to say, I really like how you, particularly in the second half, situated this role in the context of the district and the vision for having this role play a real leadership role in sort of embracing that welcoming inclusivity value, equity value throughout the district. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Okay. Is there anybody else that has any questions on this? Yes, Michael.
Patrick, one of the things that, especially in this day and age, when Lorraine had mentioned online programs, I instantly thought, well, why not see if any of these candidates might have experience with Schoology or any program that we technically were using at this particular point in time. It'd be good for them to know what parents are going through to relate to them. And I can agree with Brian. So Donna, Brian, and myself were on the board for Lynn Community Connection Coalitions years and years ago. And the purpose of that organization is to connect people to different organizations within the city. So if you needed housing, we would connect you to the Lynn Housing Authority, whatnot. So in essence, this Welcome Center really is the connection center of the district. So what I'd like to see in the posting as well, if you can, is I know that we have them working with the SPED director, the EL, and social emotional director. What about the supervisors of attendance? Because the attendance pulse, the initiative, I think, is still important, and it would be good that if the parents know, these people are, if there's already a relationship, it would be good for them to know what's going on as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, that's that's where I stand on the position. Again, it's much needed. One of the two of the things I actually wrote down was, are we doing it backwards? And then you told me, no, we want to have someone come in and might be able to tell us things that we don't know. It's okay to say I don't know. You know what I mean? And I say that. And so part of it is, we're going to fill it with a person who can meet the demand and actually help us exceed that demand. So that's what I like to hear. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Dr. Tutwiler, I like, Lorraine, what you had for many of the things. And I did see that on the corrective, on the updated one that was sent to us, it does have ability to speak, read, and write Spanish. And then in parentheses, or other language, strongly preferred, which I like. But I'm looking at the performance responsibilities, and one thing that I would like to see if we could have on as also one of the responsibilities, because I don't want these responsibilities to go to the Administrators Association. And then when we want, to do different things, have them doing different things, that, somebody come back and say that wasn't one of their duties. But the thing that I wrote down is, and I just wrote it today, so I'm sorry. I know you wanted from us before, and I did touch base with you. Like I have a business background. It looks, I worked for AT&T, so I was thinking that a business person would be better. But I truly like what Lorraine came up with, for the direction to look in, because it's more school system reality. But you use the word continuously, so I'm going to just put that at the beginning of my sentence. But continuously working with team on redesigning / constantly changing to meet the needs of the center. Just because, like Michael said, we might look at Taunton, and you mentioned Dr. Tutwiler Lawrence, so what we have in these responsibilities may be different in a year. When you really look at different things, there might be things off of there might be things on there that you've added on. But I don't want us to have our hands tied that we can't redesign the look of, the old Parent Information Center, the new Welcoming Center. So I would like to see something like that. Use whatever wording you want to use, but just making sure that they understand that, this is new, and we're going to be looking for change, and it's not going to be same old, same old. It's going to be what is a better fit for the Lynn Public Schools.
And one other thing.
Yes, Lorraine.
At the end of my note to you, Dr. Tutwiler, I mentioned that I'd like to add somewhere for us to develop online partnerships with the community agencies, how to align those so that if people are at Boys Club, Girls Inc., YMCA, and they have preschools, and they're going to be going into Lynn Public Schools, like the forms or whatever they need. So we have like a direct line to them, like a partnership between everybody that's out there in the community. I didn't know where to put it, and I didn't know how to word it correctly, Dr. Tutwiler. So it just to develop online partnership with community agencies. I think that's an important thing, and that can get us out to the community to help students line up so they're not like coming in. It's pretty rough sometimes when a new parent's going in. Jared, you'll be there someday. You'll be bringing in, and Michael, you'll be bringing in your child, and they'll say, you don't have the right paperwork, go home. So it's like they need to know they have to have this paperwork, and they need to know maybe the agency could help them. Gee, this is what this form looks like. This is what this looks like, and this is what you have to bring in. So it's making a partnership, an online partnership with them to help that. Kim has a question.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that last year, we actually already started that process, Lorraine, and we began doing presentations, like, for example, at Leo last year. And then COVID hit. We actually had plans to go into agencies and register children on site in those agencies.
Okay, but if we could do it online too, so.
Absolutely. We didn't have an online program at that point,
But
but
now we do, Kim.
now we do.
They should know Schoology too.
Kim, can I just ask you a question?
Yep.
Was that the PIC Center's responsibility, or was that under Jackie Gallo?
We actually did it through SEL. We went out and through attendance, and we went out and did presentations to agencies.
Mhm.
And that this whole issue came up, so we formed a relationship, and we were going back in, and we did involve Parent Information Center.
Okay, because I was wondering if that is also part of what Jackie Gallo does.
Yes, it is. It is.
All right, okay. I don't know where this leaves us, because there was, quite a few new things that were thrown out. Yes, Dr. Tutwiler.
Well, I took copious notes. I think what I'd like to do, and this may not agree with the normal order of operations, but for, to kind of move things along, I think what I'd like to do is incorporate your feedback, get the union's blessing, and then bring it back for another personnel subcommittee so that, once it's done here, it's done. And we can get it posted.
Okay, that's fine. Does that require a vote, Attorney Myhouse?
Motion to table.
Okay,
Motion to table.
okay, second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I think we
Okay.
have. Yep. Thank
What?
Okay, motion
Motion
to
to
adjourn.
Nan, did you get that stuff?
Yes, I'm all set.
Okay. Okay.
Whoa, I gotta run away, 1 minute. Oh. Yeah.
Only a motion to table, so. Yeah.
Good, thanks.
Oh, it's in 7:05.
Okay. 7:05.
Once we're set, we can go into the scheduled meeting. Nanny, you all set?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Are you all set, Nan?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're ready to go into the full meeting. Welcome to the 14th regular meeting of the Lynn School Committee, Thursday, September 24th, 2020. Good evening, and as a preliminary matter, we will confirm attendance. Nan, would you please confirm all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear us?
Brian Castellanos,
Present.
John Capola,
Present.
John Ford,
Present.
Lorraine Gately,
Present.
Jared Nicholson,
Present.
Michael Satterwhite,
Present.
Mayor McGee.
Present.
Perfect
This is-
attendance.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead, Nan, sorry.
And I lost my paper. Okay, Dr. Tutwiler,
Present.
Kim Powers,
Present.
Don Hussey, John Myhouse,
Present.
and Mary Jules.
Present.
Don't forget Deb.
Deborah Jerry, sorry.
Present.
Kevin McHugh?
Present.
Kevin, okay. Got it, thank you.
Great, thank you. This is Mayor Tom McGee, and I'd like to say good evening and thank you for joining us. This open meeting of the Lynn School Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth and due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19 virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting on the city website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded, so the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Lynn School Department is convening by telephone conference, video conference via the Zoom platform as posted on the city's website and on Lynn Public Schools website. Additionally, this meeting can be viewed on the local cable channels, Channel 3 for Comcast, Channel 37 for Verizon. And note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other people may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. We are now turning to the, before we turn to the first item on the agenda, let me cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. As chairman, I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, question, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourselves. Finally, each vote taken at this meeting will be conducted by a roll call. I know that Don Hussey has this meeting online and there is a flag available, so I would ask everyone to stand and join me in a salute to the flag and then remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'd like to ask for a moment of silence for Mary Ishkanian, retired teacher who passed away on September 6th of 2020. Thank you. First on the agenda is appointment elections. Jennifer Florentino is on the agenda. Dr. Tutwiler?
Yeah, glad to. Recent hire about 2 weeks ago, actually. Jennifer is actually a Lynn native and is now presently seated in the Parent Information Center, providing families who are newly registered with a device and getting them set up and ready to go. I am thrilled to have her. She's bilingual and has just a wonderful way about her and deeply knowledgeable. We're thrilled to welcome her.
Great. I think we all feel the same way. Welcome aboard and good luck, Jennifer. Congratulations. Next is on the agenda, Dr. Tutwiler, presentation on or an update on the opening days and how they're going.
Certainly. thumbs up if you can see the slide. Okay. So, as you know, it typically, I like to add some sort of visual to represent a theme or a theory or a reality. I think this one captures the present day. Of course, there are many ways to interpret this visual, but I relate it to us in the present day in the following ways. The picture depicts work, ideas, collaboration, messiness, solutions, innovation, and challenges and obstacles in varying size and nature. When I think about the 10 days of professional development, the 5 days of orientation, and the past 2 days of core content instruction, this is the kind of visual that comes to mind for me. What comes to mind is the depth of the substance of collaboration that's happening among staff, the unending dedication to figuring things out, and of course, a little bit of chaos. School has begun and we're moving forward. While there are challenges and obstacles, with each passing day, the number decreases. We're headed in the right direction and along the way discovering new efficiencies, adding new skill sets, and evolving. I'd like to share a little bit about where we are over the first 7 days of the school year. I broke the updates into 6 buckets, for lack of better expression. Let's see if I can move this thing because it's in my way. Okay. Technology, curriculum and instruction, special education, English learner education, SEL, and meals. No doubt, the anchor of remote learning is technology. Accordingly, as I mentioned at our last meeting, one of the 2 goals in the first 3 weeks of the school year is to ensure that all students have an internet-connected device and can access Schoology. As of close of business today, 13,600 devices have been distributed. Bear in mind that some families have chosen to use their own device. We also know that 1,100 kindergartners have not yet begun. There's 1,100 kindergartners and we've not yet begun that distribution. Therefore, the best data point to determine access is through Schoology. As of the end of the day yesterday, 13,108 students have logged on to Schoology. It's no secret that we are woefully understaffed in our IT department. We've leveraged some of our grant funds to add additional personnel, and we've also reassigned some personnel to support the IT effort. What is more, we've expanded supports to the building level. We know that there are significant challenges in the realm of technology. However, as I just mentioned, with each passing day, the number goes down a little bit. By way of perspective, one rule of thumb is that organizations our size have 1 IT professional per 125 users. We are obviously well below that ratio. As such, it takes longer for us to address existing issues. Part of the long-term solution exists in leveraging the expertise in our school buildings to create a tiered system of support. Doing so would allow smaller issues to be tackled at the building level and leaving the more complex issues for our IT professionals. In the realm of curriculum and instruction, we've built supports to launch our learning management system, Schoology. A big part of the launch is ensuring professional development. There's no way in 10 days that all teachers would be masters at Schoology. Nonetheless, there's built-in time and plenty of support resources for staff to continue to grow in their knowledge and understanding. We've also trained on some more immediate learning needs for staff to launch the year, as you can see in the slide. We're very much taking a now, next, and later approach, as everything cannot be a focus in the very beginning. Here, I quickly want to point out the success of the ST Math initiative, which continues to play an important role in math skill and content development for our elementary students. Following the theme of now, next, and later, there are very perceptible next steps in terms of curriculum and instruction. We've purposely taken a methodical approach to launch the school year and will continue to introduce new elements as the school year progresses. These include, but are not limited to, blended learning professional development, expansion of digital assessments, and the introduction of extended features of Schoology, one of which is a single platform for communication with families. In special education, we've effectively ensured that students who are served in our out-of-district placements have begun smoothly. And given the demands of the work particular to special education teachers, we've also created support groups for staff to lean on one another in sharing ideas, discoveries, and strategies. We have launched IEP team meetings via Zoom, which have been going well thus far. And I'm pleased to share that all paraprofessionals received a device and have been trained in Schoology, making it possible for them to meaningfully participate and support students in remote learning. And finally, as is the case every year, we want to make sure that there's a forum for parents of students with disabilities to share, have questions answered, and be supported. A virtual special education parent advisory council meeting is in the making. Clear in our original plan for reopening was a priority for in-person instruction for high-need students with disabilities. We acknowledge that remote learning is particularly challenging for this group of students. That said, we continue to explore multiple avenues for engagement and strategies in meeting their needs. There are also challenges related to managing the elevated caseloads for related service providers, that being an issue that we've experienced for years. There is neither a simple nor elegant solution, but that has not deterred our commitment to addressing these issues. In the realm of social emotional learning, we have provided all staff a foundational professional development during the 10 professional development days, focused largely on identifying the signs of trauma or need and the requisite steps to address them. Additionally, on the elementary level, there's been substantive learning and preparation related to our social emotional learning curriculum, Caring School. We have reassembled wellness teams in all schools with a proactive eye to attendance and engagement in the remote learning model. The same is so for various guidance documents for all staff. Lastly, we leverage funds to ensure that there's at least one social worker in every school to quickly help, quickly and more efficiently intervene and partner with families to address any concerns in this realm. I don't want to leave that without really drawing attention to the fact that that is a first for the Lynn Public Schools, having a social worker in every school. Much of the continued focus involves shifting procedures and related documents to ensure an appropriate protocol or response in remote learning. As is the case in many facets of our work, flexibility and evolution will be two of several important descriptors as we shift and adapt over time. As is evident by our continued participation in the Mental Health Academy and becoming a member district of the nationwide Caring School Community Leadership Network, we are making an effort to continue learning and growing in this realm. Relative to English learner education, we're thrilled about the formal launch of our dual language program, Compañeros, at Harrington Elementary School. It is fully subscribed and going well thus far. In preparation for the opening of the school year, we were able to administer more than 700 in-person language assessments. This allows us to appropriately identify students' needs and line up support and resources accordingly. We've developed and implemented district-wide ESL curriculum maps, which will allow ESL teachers a roadmap for instruction from the very start. Similar to special education, we want to provide a platform for families of English learners to ask questions and be supported. A virtual LPAC, English Learners Parent Advisory Council, is in the making. As is the case in various places, we are working out the logistics around ESL specialist supports. An important reality to keep in mind is that there's no way to have a polished practice in every procedure and protocol before the beginning of the school year. Clearly, we are able to predict and avoid certain challenges. Nonetheless, what is and will continue to be important is our ability to quickly identify challenges and react accordingly. We are closely evaluating our meal service. Based on the uptick in the retrieval of meals, we are assuming that the low numbers on the first day of school might well be the families getting settled in their routines. At present, meals are available 3 days a week at 19 sites. On those 3 days, families retrieve enough meals to cover the days when sites are not open for retrieval, including the weekends. We're planning to leave all 19 sites open for the foreseeable future, and we'll be gathering direct feedback from families on how the process can be improved. In the meantime, we're making sure that the outreach is substantive. In addition to the current efforts, we are creating formal informational videos for families that will be aired or posted in various places. In addition to information about access, we also want families to know that the meals are far more substantive than what was provided during the summer months. And then finally, we're headed very quickly toward all students being logged on to Schoology. We're developing plans to ensure that the same is so for all parents. This will be an important feature to allow us to gather feedback on how the school year is going. And more importantly, where families need support. Equally, we're in the process of developing surveys for staff to ensure that the district resources are leveraged and directed in the areas where staff need them most. The surveys are in development, and we hope to administer them on or shortly after October 9th. There are volumes and volumes written about the theory of change. We're in the midst of a very significant one. On the surface, what would appear as simply moving from in-person instruction to teaching virtually is really so much more. As an organization, as educators, we are evolving to new processes, new skill sets, and at the same time, adjusting to new realities. I've said often that change is a process, not an event. Each one of the shifts or transitions requires deep thought, planning, and embracing of flexibility, generally speaking. Above all, change takes time. I'm deeply appreciative of the efforts of the LPS family, both the faculty and staff and administrators and our family partners. We're certainly on the move, and there will continue to be challenges, but the extent to which we stay together will only yield the most positive outcomes for students. That is a brief overview of where we are after the first 7 days. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Member Satterwhite.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrick. Two things. I don't know if you saw the support group that was created on Facebook. I think that's been a lifesaver for many families in the city, and it was created by parents that wanted to help out, and that's amazing. I like your approach to the tiered method for inquiries to the district on issues with laptops and whatnot. However, my daughter, who goes to Pickering, had an issue with Microsoft. So the Microsoft is through the Lynn Public Schools as an organization. So in order to use Office or Word or all that stuff, you need to be logged in. And typically that's the same login you use when you log into the laptop. So when it wasn't working, we had an issue because it said to call the administrator. We called downtown because I told my wife to talk to the IT department because it sounded like an IT issue. So they transferred us to Pickering. Pickering didn't get back to us for 2 hours, and she missed her assignment that she was supposed to be doing during that time frame. And it seemed like someone answered, "You need help? What school do you go to? Okay, I'm going to send you to the school." There needs to be, I think, a further breakdown or a screening. Is it a Microsoft issue? Is it a Schoology issue? Is it a laptop issue? Then from there, you should transfer it to the appropriate departments, not send it to the school and then have someone there not know what to do either and just say, okay, someone's going to call you back. It's just, I think that's going to add a multitude of frustration. And we hear it already that they're just not being transferred to the right department. So if you can sit down with the IT department, hey, what do you guys handle exclusively? Okay, now let me let anyone know that answers the phone that if this person calls in for this particular reason, it goes to the IT. I understand we have to screen and make sure they're only getting the calls that are really required, but I think everyone needs to be on board with what that actually is. Is it Schoology? Is it hardware? Is it Microsoft? Is it, stuff like that. So that's the only input I can give to you from my experience. I can tell you it's been great. Anaya's been active in her classes, and she loves her teachers. Today, during one of her classes, one of her classmates wasn't aware that he was not on mute, and he started singing an opera, and everyone heard him. So it was pretty funny. They got a little laugh out of it, but it's stuff like that makes it fun for the kids. And she's been talking about it all night. So she's into it when she can get into it. But if there's an issue, it's frustrating for all of us. So if we can get that down packed, the tiered, maybe put that in that tiered measure and make sure everyone knows where certain things go, that would be great. Thank you.
Feedback well taken.
Member Ford, Member Castellanos, and Member Nicholson, and then Member Capola. John, you're muted.
I'll get it right one of these days. Dr. Talwala, based on your first slide, I believe it showed like 1 to 1,300 ratio of IT people. Do we have money in the budget, and would it behoove us at this time to maybe go out and try and hire 5 or 10 additional IT people? I understand we have a department of 8. And most of the feedback every day that I've been getting has been more and more positive, but the underlying complaint is IT support.
So I'll let Kevin chime in on that. But if you just quickly do the math on the rule of thumb, which there's got to be some play with that, right? Like depends a lot on what you're trying to do in an organization with technology when you're trying to determine the number of IT support professionals you need. But again, the rule is 1 to 125. We're 1 to 1,300, which is why it is excessively hard and slower, unfortunately. We're slower to address issues. If you go by that rule, we need 150 IT folk, and we're at 16. So adding more folks is absolutely going to be helpful. But I think, really being creative and thoughtful about who can handle what kind of issues feels to me like the quickest move with the greatest impact. The other thing I would say is, and I think Mr. McHugh would attest to this, it's hard to find these folks, right? They are in high demand, not just, in the realm of school, everywhere. And so that's another, reality that we need to contend with. Mr. McHugh?
Yes, as the superintendent said in his slides, I believe that, we've put 5 of the positions into the grant that we know that we got. So that's how we got the 5 additional at this time. In that process, we advertised over the summer, and we have pretty much just hired those 5 folks. We also, he mentioned we repurposed. We have 2 of the athletic trainers, since we're not running fall sports right at this time. We have repurposed them. They are now working with the IT department to help with the passing out or any, regular jobs they can. And both I heard are doing wonderful. They're thrilled. They were thrilled that this is keeping them employed, keeping them working. So we repurposed them. So we're trying to grab from within. And since we don't have a real budget at this time, we didn't feel it was prudent to start just hiring more people. I think once we do get a budget, my first recommendation to the superintendent is we got to continue to add more IT. I think we were heading that way slowly, but the future has been thrusted upon us. I don't think the computers are going away. And right now we're pretty much with 18,000 laptops out there. That's going to always be something we're going to have to manage on a day-to-day basis. And as you said, John, that Mr. Ford, that this is going to be an ongoing issue, but I'm not sure we'll ever get to 150 if that's the adequate number, but we have to at least take efforts to increase it. And, we are restructuring as we go. We have one of our people overseeing the help desk, as we're calling it now. And, he's handling that to try to put some informational things up there as far as videos, as far as information to try to assist people as quick as possible to try to help solve their issues of the common things. So that way people at least have resources they can try to look at first before they get on the phone, because when you only have 5 or 6 people every day on the phone because the rest are still passing out computers, it's very difficult to answer the volume of calls. I came in the last Friday at 7:30 and they have one of the phones set up downstairs because that's where the parent information center person is going to be sitting, the newer hires to pass them out. The phone was ringing at 7:30 in the help desk. So, there people are just calling at all hours of the night. So we're doing our best. It's a daunting task, and these people have been working 6 days a week on a regular basis, and I applaud their efforts and doing the best we can at this point. We're trying to do better, but we're trying to be creative at the same time.
Member Castellanos?
Thanks, Dr. Tatwell, for the presentation. I'm really glad to see the social emotional learning investments. I'm the trauma sensitive PD. I like to see the caring school community. You guys are moving forward with that. Every school having a social worker. That's a big deal. Definitely a positive step in the right direction. I have had some concerns around attendance. I've had constituents reach out to me throughout the week regarding disruption in learning caused by the technology. That's something for me when we look at accountability and attendance. How are we educating our parents on just keeping tabs? Are teachers aware? Like, say if a student, if their laptop's not working, internet's not working, and they miss classes because of it, and their attendance doesn't get counted for the day. How are we measuring this? How are we communicating with DESE with these type of issues? If we have students and families trying to engage, but they're unable to access due to technology or Wi-Fi, because I have some families. You have 3-4 kids in a house. Wi-Fi is slow. Or even if you have families from home that are working at home who can't access good quality connections. That's one piece. My next piece is we have our CRAs, our kids in group homes, congregate care. There's a lot of kids in this district right now that are left at home doing a lot of work by themselves, which this is, something with the quote, change is a process and it takes time. But that time of disconnect can really take kids who are most at risk down a really dark path. And I see the outreach efforts. I see a lot. Obviously, we're in these really different times. But as an elected official, it's my obligation to speak for those voices who reach out to me every day. I know every one of my colleagues, also you guys are getting calls. You got Mary Jules. Thank you very much for all the help this week. I can imagine how much need is out there right now. So I could just applaud everyone for what they're doing, but mental health is an issue right now. There's a lot of trauma right now, and I think we got to figure out ways to look at a harm reduction for the at-risk students that we have in our school system, because it's really difficult to have to deal with Schoology, a whole new system as a student by yourself, or if you don't have a full family at home to do that. So, but I just wanted to bring that up and see where you're at and your thoughts about that, Superintendent Tutwiler, Dr. Tutwiler.
No, I appreciate that. I would say first, the good news is thus far attendance is actually really good, and I dare I say in some places higher than normal, than traditional in person. So in speaking with Maura Durgan at FECTO today, she's got a new name for the school. What is that, Deb? Is it Perfecto? Something like that. But in any case,
yes, it was.
They're thrilled because their engagement level, their attendance level for some of our most at-risk students is higher than during a traditional day, traditional year. And part of it is because, there are some students who attend that school who are school phobic and, prefer the remote option. But as we look, if I just take yesterday, for example, the average attendance present, it was 91% at the elementary level, and about 90% at the secondary level, which is really good. 94% at Lynn Tech. Looking today, 95% at Breed. They have 80 students who are not signed on to Schoology, which of course we care deeply about those 80 students. But that's pretty good, given where that we're this early in the year to have that many students engaged. And what they're doing, they're going to homes. They're knocking on doors and checking to find out why students aren't logged on, why they aren't engaged, and what their needs are. Not to get them in trouble and wagging their fingers, but more, what's going on? How can we support? Is it an internet connection issue? Is it a device issue? Let's get this figured out, so we can get them connected and get them learning. You notice the SDL slides had a lot of information on them, and those were developed by our executive director of SEL. I actually had to pare them down. It was too much information. I share that with you to underscore that that is a big part of our thinking, of our efforts in the start of the school year, and ongoing throughout the school year. We know that issues around attendance, issues around trauma are going to impact significantly students' ability to learn. And we have to address those issues up front and early and actively, or else, forget the lessons, forget Schoology. It's not going to work. Member Castellanos, I'm with you 100%. We are paying very close attention to this. This is why those two goals around 95% attendance, which is really high by October 9th, and 100% of students with a device and connected to the internet and Schoology, those are foundational. But the SEL piece is really going to drive us to getting to those goals.
Dr. Tutwiler, I just want to say thank you, Deputy Powers, Ruggiero, the whole district, all the efforts that have been made. There's kids out there that are at risk, and I come from a background where if it wasn't for those teachers and people in my life, I wouldn't be here today. Those voices, those parents, those families that need us to step up. This is why we're here. We need to give those folks out there reassurance, and that's all I'm gonna say. For everybody out here, we're all working overtime. Everyone's giving their best foot forward. We just gotta keep continuing forward with the leadership. People gotta step up from all positions, from the parents to the teachers to myself. Accountability is important right now because these are lives. And I'm seeing them every day as a social worker. And we have to stick together, and we need to make sure Thank you, Superintendent Tawala. I'm gonna do that.
Nope. I appreciate you. I just want to add one other thing. The addition of the social workers is one piece, but we've also reassigned personnel to the outreach and support effort. Our monitors have stepped up and done some amazing work in multiple realms, but they're going to be a big part of the outreach around attendance. We've got some paraprofessionals who've been reassigned to those roles of outreach and checks. So we're really taking that piece seriously.
Thank you. Member Nicholson?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Dr. Tola, for that update and for all your leadership here. Thank you also to all the teachers and staff and everybody who's put this together, and the families who've worked so hard to make this work, and the students. That's so encouraging to hear about the attendance, and I think is a great sign, really a testament to those students who are showing that kind of resilience to show up. So one question about the attendance gap. Have we started to get into the data enough to know if it's the same students who are not logging into Schoology every day, or is it sort of a more sort of rotating type of absenteeism?
Yeah, so I have not done that digging. Right now, schools are heavily engaged in outreach to families or students that we've not connected with. And so right now, that's really the thrust of the effort. But beginning next week, as we settle into our attendance capture routines, we'll begin to sort of peel back the layers and see what's going on and where we need to direct our efforts.
Great. Was that Ms. Powers the one that, yeah.
And we would know at the elementary level is, our kindergartners do not have devices. So in terms of that attendance rate, that's impacting the elementary attendance.
Got it. No, that makes sense. And you had mentioned that you guys would be following up with the parent communication data, which I think is great. I'm excited about that. I think that's going to be helpful.
Can I add one piece to that, Member Nicholson? Through his last meeting or the meeting before, an express interest in, guaranteeing, that families are logged on and can, communicate or receive communications by way of it having a two-way feature, confirming that they're on. That is something that we are developing a plan to do.
That's awesome.
It's going to take some time. We've got Dojo at the elementary level and Jupiter at the secondary level, and we're going to sort of slowly move families off of that onto Schoology. We don't want to keep all this on the laps or backs of parents right in the first early going of the school year, but we're developing a plan to move in that direction.
That's terrific. I'm really glad to hear that. That's awesome. Thank you. So on the meals, one question I had on the meals, that this was another area I've gotten some feedback on, and I think some of the feedback, a group of parents and some specific feedback they had, and it was questions about the delivery, like how we're providing the meals, and particularly accessibility around hours, making it work with people's working schedules, how this interacts with the pandemic EBT benefit, and sort of ways to think about the delivery of the provision of meals to students holistically as it interacts with other potential food resources. I had suggested maybe that at some point we could try to create an opportunity for parents or for families to ask some of these specific questions to the experts. But maybe wanted to, if you had some high level thoughts on responding to those kinds of questions, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll just say we're going to need to collect some feedback from families on the hours, right? We really want to create a scenario where the largest number of families are able to access the meals. We just have to be mindful that also intersects with bargaining agreements around hours, and so that there could be some challenges or some wrinkles we'll need to iron out related to that if what works for families doesn't fit with the contractual agreement that we have in place. and the hours that folks are working. Kevin, I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Well, I think you summed that piece up as far as, what I think was we laid a plan out. We were trying to communicate as much as, and I think what the superintendent showed in his slide is that we started off a little over a week ago. Roughly the first, it was like 500 meals, and then it ramped up to 1,500, then it went to 25. We're around 4,000 meals now, which is good. That's breakfast and lunch. So, and that's why I think the video is the next step, which I think we're actually going to be filming it next week. We've already got a date set up. So we want to show the meals to people because I think it's important to see what the meals are and what's in a meal and what they're going to be getting. As a superintendent, it's multiple days. So you'll be getting, Mondays and Tuesdays, you'll get 2 breakfasts and 2 meals. And Wednesday, you'll get another 2. And Friday, you're going to get Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. So, we're allowed to still do that. So I think when people see what they're getting, I think that's going to also help get more people. So we're trying to maximize, like the superintendent said, the work schedules of people that are currently under the bargaining agreements at this time, knowing that the kids can get out of school and still have like about an hour to an hour, at least an hour and 15 minutes to get to the school. And the big piece that we put in the flyer we sent out is that you don't, like one parent did say, well, geez, I have somebody at Marshall Middle School, somebody at Harrington, somebody at English. And we said, no, you don't need to go to all 3 schools. Just go to the closest school to your house. Make it as easy as possible. And you can get, for 3 children, all the meals at one site. So we're trying to keep that. And I think the video is going to help that, too. That's what we're trying to get, as much information out to the people to make it as easy as possible on that sense. So that's where we're going. As the superintendent said, it's kind of a work in progress. We're going to collect data. We're going to see what works. And we ask people when they come by what they're thinking, what do they like, dislike, and we'll go from there and reevaluate probably in another few weeks.
Awesome, that's great. Sorry, Dr. Talwala, did you?
No, I'll just add, I'm not, I didn't want this to get lost. Not opposed to, a virtual town hall around meals, for answer questions and offer information also. Happy to do that also.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I mean, Mr. McHugh, that update is great, and I think obviously, you can see tonight there's been a lot of positive changes just in the last couple of weeks about how this program works, and with the menu and the delivery and all that. I think it's made a ton of progress. This program has changed dramatically, right? It used to be this is something that we do in school with students in school, and so I think it's to be expected that we will continue to need to think creatively about how to address this. And it sounded to me like one of the particular issues that we may need to be creative about is for students whose parents are working.
Yeah.
Because if they can't get to the meal site to pick it up, then that's an issue. And thinking about finding those families, thinking about what other agencies we can coordinate with to make sure that those meals get to those students, because we need to feed those students.
Yeah.
And the last thing on the IT, I did have a fair number of people reach out to me, specifically, especially in Spanish. I think sometimes, this is one of the reasons I'm excited about the Welcoming Center and thinking about how to seamlessly hand off people who have questions who speak Spanish throughout different parts of the district. But I will say, following up with those families, people did hear back and were appreciative of that. And consistent with the capacity point, though, it sometimes took, pretty significant amount of time.
Yeah. And
so I think I'm glad that we're looking at that. I would sort of agree with the idea that even if there's a ginormous gap between where we would be ideally, any progress is meaningful in terms of the staff. And I think it's important that we point out that the fact that we don't have a budget is impacting these operations, because we would know how many people we could have. And this is a real issue, and it's affecting us on the ground. But I also want to thank the IT team, who I'm sure is overwhelmed, and particularly people who have been repurposed and are fielding those calls on the front lines, because it's allowing kids to learn, and it's much appreciated.
I would ask him to say it, if I may, quickly, Mayor.
Yes, go ahead, Doctor.
But I'll spare Mr. McHugh, who was on a call with the MASBO, whatever that stands for, Business Administrators Association, and they got no news related to budget outlook. So we're still in a holding pattern.
Thanks.
Mr. McHugh, you want to add to that? Or did I take care of that for you?
No, I think that's pretty spot on. I mean, I think it also, they seem frustrated from the Department of Ed as well, because they were on the call as well. And it affects like our circuit breaker special education reimbursements. They have no idea what those are going to be. And by now we already know, and we would probably be getting almost ready for our first quarter reimbursement. So at this point, we're not getting anything. So it's starting to really affect how business happens, and they can't even calculate till they have the budget set by the state. So they're feeling frustrated too. So and I see that. And as far as the technology, I think Jared, you brought up a valid point. As the superintendent said, we have now 7 fluent Spanish-speaking people, and those have all been hired within the last year. So I mean, I think out of the total of 9 hires, 7 of them are now fluent, because we are really trying to outreach that effort too, so that they can communicate with their families. And I think what I've seen, even from the front desk, when somebody has come in, when they have that voice that, and they say, "Do you speak Spanish?" and the person says yes, you just see a sigh of relief that they can communicate a little bit better. So I think we're very sensitive to that, and we're trying to do as much as we can to have that in place to deal with the families as they have a friendly voice on the phone, as I would call it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Member Capola, then Member Gately.
Okay, I think you did a great job, Dr. Tutwiler. I think the 80 students that we just haven't touched base with, I'm surprised, I'm shocked that it's just that number, which is a great number. And I want to thank the monitors for stepping up too, to help out with the attendance, because they know a lot of the students, so that's a great thing. What about LEAP? I didn't see anything in there about the LEAP program.
Let me just clarify. That was that number of students was just at Breed Middle School. I just want to be clear.
Just Breed.
Yeah, it wasn't the district.
Okay, you're still doing a good job. But do you know what the total is for?
I don't have that number just yet. I can email that, find that out and get it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Deputy Superintendent Ruggiero, do you want to speak on LEAP?
Yeah, Mara Durgan has been working very hard to get LEAP up and running. A posting just went out yesterday, maybe, for the teaching positions for LEAP. And Mara and her team are in the process of, building the schedule for the students and the support that they will need, while they're taking classes in LEAP. So we're hoping that it will be up and running within a week or so.
Okay. And the other thing is really about the food. The numbers to me are still low, seeing how many we have, It bothers me when people call it food insecurity. This is a community where people are hungry. It's hunger. It's not food insecurity. It's hunger. Because the food is there for them. We just need to get them over there. But a lot of the parents have said to me, just as Jared had said, is the concern of their kids leaving the house. They're not home, the parents. Kids are doing this in many of the homes by themselves online. And they don't want them to leave the house. They want them to stay in the security of the house. So they're without these meals. When I was looking at the list of ways that you're letting families know, I didn't notice that the Lynn Public School, the all-call phone, Deb's the star of all-call phone. Parents loved it when she would call all the time. But I didn't see that down there as being used. And I think that rather than, many times on our local cable channel, there's so many words put up on a thing, you can't possibly read it all, and it turns fast, and it's, I think it would be better if they had that call from the principal, from the schools, just going into the food.
I will say though, Donna, that the principals have put it on like Jupiter and Class Dojo and on Schoology. I've seen it on Schoology. And the benefit of those methods is that the parents get to set it up to the language that they need, and they get the notification on their phone or on an email. So I will, and I'm sure Kim will as well, we can check in with principals to make sure that they're also doing all calls. I believe they are, but I think a lot of their communication is through Jupiter and Class Dojo because of the language capacity for it. But we can certainly check with them on the all calls.
Okay, and when you're doing the flyers, if it's possible to make sure they get to all of the food pantries that are here in Lynn and My Brother's Table, even if they're just, hung up and posted, but a lot of the food pantries will make sure they know what families are coming every week and getting food, and they could let them know about picking it up. And I think that's basically it.
Thanks, Member Capola. Great point on the information at the My Brother's Table at the food bank. So that's good information. Member Gately.
One thing, Dr. Tutwiler, back in the day, we had a meeting down at the Ed building where parents came in to taste the food. So I think that the parents would probably be very receptive to a Zoom meeting with the food service and the parents, so they could discuss how can we fix this problem. The other thing is, I'm hearing from a constituent that a lot of the kids that are having a hard time with their computers getting on or whatever, and the teachers are asking them to type the answers, and half the kids don't know how to type. That's just what a constituent messaged me, that a lot of the students don't know how to really type, so they have a really hard time typing answers to questions if the computers are not working. There's a glitch, so they have a hard time typing to them. So maybe we need to teach kids how to type. Or
I've not heard of that challenge, and I would say that the staff is very, very sensitive to where students are in terms of use of the devices and how they're using the devices to demonstrate learning. And certainly, like, you wouldn't, want a, first or second grader to, maybe the idea there is for a student to write something and then take a picture of it and upload it or something of that nature. But I'll definitely, it feels to me like an elementary thing. Maybe at our next meeting we can ask.
Elementary or even a little higher up, I'm not quite sure.
Okay. We can check with our principals and find out.
Yeah, so if they could handwrite it and just send it to them or something, take a picture. The other thing is, I want you to know, I worked with 2 children this week, and I watched them on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday go through their orientation. The only day that really got the secondary middle school student was towards the end of the day. I thought it was really long, but towards the end of the day, he almost had a meltdown because he was so exhausted. But I was very impressed. I was impressed with the teachers and the staff and the process. They're working extremely hard, and congratulations to all those teachers, staff members, teachers' aides, students that are working so hard to get this process done correctly. And kudos to you, Dr. Tutwiler, and the administration, because we really are moving a mountain. I've told you that a million times. We're going from very rarely using computers to moving so much information, and it's going to take a while, and it's going to be difficult, but we will work together, and we will get it, and we'll communicate, And I think we're going to be better off for it. Someone's already mentioned to me snow days. I said, yes, we could do remote snow days, no more snow days. We'd have to vote on that, I think. John, would we? Attorney Myhost, would we have to vote on it? About snow days?
It's been accustomed to do that in the past, to vote on it. Correct.
Okay, so these are things that we could look forward to. You know, our schedules, you know, like the yearly calendar would be done in September, and we wouldn't have to worry about it. And we wouldn't have to worry about our students or our faculty getting hurt going into school. So I can't believe how much this district has moved forward in such a short period of time on the backs of all the people in Lynn, working very hard. And you're right, we are going to have glitches, but as long as we communicate them and work forward and take care of them, we're going to be great. So thank you very much for having the vision to move forward like this.
I can't take credit. It's staff. Thank you. Thank you, staff.
Great, thank you all. Good discussion. Thank you, Dr. Tutwiler. Next on the agenda is new business. And the Personnel Subcommittee is the first on the agenda, and that item was tabled. I don't know if we have to take any action, but it was tabled at the meeting, so I know it's be on for the next meeting.
No action needs to be taken, Mayor.
No, right. So next on the agenda is a request for executive session to discuss strategies with respect to collective bargaining relative to Lynn Teachers Union Local 1037 and paraprofessionals contracts. We'll need a motion to do that.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second, Mayor. You don't have everybody.
Okay, well, hold on. Who are we missing?
Donna?
Fuller is missing.
Donna, we'll wait. Okay. And the motion should identify what we're doing going into the executive session for, John. So if you could.
Is everybody there?
Waiting on Donna Capola, Member Capola.
Motion to go into, wait for Donna.
You can, I think you can make the motion and second it, and
You want a roll call?
She's back.
she's back. Go ahead, make the motion, John. Member.
Motion to go into executive session to discuss strategies with respect to collective bargaining relative to Lynn Teachers Union Local 1037 and the paraprofessionals contract.
Second.
Do we have a second? Second by Member Gately. Requires a roll call.
Mr. Cassianis?
Yes.
Ms. Capola?
Yes.
Mr. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Gately?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Satterwhite?
Yes.
Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Motion passed, 803 or 805.
So we're ready to head into executive session.
All right.
Now I'm ready. Button.
I'm going to join you.
Motion to go back into regular session?
Motion to go back into regular session. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Roll call is required.
And Nan, you have to take off mute.
Got it? Okay. Okay, regular session at 8:32. And Mr. Cassianis?
Yes.
Ms. Capola?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Gately?
Yes.
Nicholson?
Yes.
Satterwhite?
Yes.
And McGee?
Yes. No action. There was no action taken during the executive session relative to the motion to enter related to the to the bargaining relative to teachers union 1037, the paraprofessionals contract. No action was taken at the executive session, subject to further discussion moving forward. Any discussion? Dr. Tutwiler, next on the agenda is communications and information, but I know you've given us a lot of information. So you're on mute?
Nothing there, sir.
Okay, very good. Nothing else on the agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Member Satterwhite. Is there a second? Second, Member Gately. Roll call required.
Adjourned. Now, Ms. Cassianis?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Gately?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson?
Yes.
Ms. Satterwhite?
Yes.
Mayor McGee?
Yes.
Everyone have a good
Have
weekend.
a nice
Have a-
weekend,
have a good
everyone.
weekend.
You too.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Enjoy the good weather.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Take care.